Graham Jason Mathis, your Bleacher Report FanSided Daily DDT. Today we're talking one of these newest acquisitions of the Raw roster coming up from NXT in the latest WWE draft, and also qualifying for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match coming up next month at Money in the Bank. We're talking to Zoey Stark here today. Zoey, how are you?
I'm amazing. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Like I said, you just arrived on Raw, and literally within, 5 weeks, you now find yourself not only aligned with one of the GOATs in Trish Stratus, also in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. I mean, what's your reaction to that? Has it really sunk in for you yet or not yet?
It definitely has. It's crazy to be able to think that I get to work alongside Trish Stratus. Just like even last night, it's weird to think that I could send her over a text message with a quick question or something. She gets back to me so fast. So it's great. I'm having a great time with her.
I mean, immediately just in the last, what it's been, a week and a half since you guys linked forces up at Night of Champions, helping her beat Becky Lynch, and now being in a prominent spot on the Raw roster. Has this come together fairly quickly for you as far as coming from Raw, or rather coming from NXT, now being on the Raw roster? Or does this feel like where you felt like you were always destined to be, maybe just coming a little bit quicker than you were expecting?
Definitely, this is where I felt like I was always supposed to be. But it has happened a lot faster than what I thought it was going to. So like I'm on NXT, like, yeah, I was prominent, but then I was thinking once I got drafted, it's going to take some time, slowly get involved with everything. But no, they threw me right in, sink or swim. And I feel like I'm swimming pretty good right now.
I feel like going into the draft, you were one of those names that a lot of people expected to see you on Raw or SmackDown coming out of the draft. It was inevitable at some point anyway, but specifically with what you have done in NXT, being a former tag team champion, going for the gold, coming up short of Stand and Deliver, going into the draft, you were one of those prime names that a lot of people felt like were Raw or SmackDown bound. I assume you felt like you were the same way in that same boat, and also kind of going off that as well. What was your reaction when you heard your name called in the WWE draft?
I was excited, and if you saw the video of when they actually announced my name, that's the true way that I felt, just extremely excited and ready to go. This is all I've ever wanted my whole life. So being able to be a part of Raw is absolutely amazing. My dreams are coming true.
You find out in that moment that you're headed to the Raw roster. Like you said, we did see that video that they put up on WWE.com, and they aired it on Raw Talk as well. Super cool to see you on Raw coming up at that point in the draft. I mean, when you go into a moment like that, do you get your hopes up like, all right, I'm definitely going to the main roster at this point? Or do you try to temper those expectations thinking there might be more for me to do in NXT for a little bit longer and I might not get called up right now? Like, what's your mindset going into an event like that?
I try my best not to get my hopes up. Like I'm sitting there saying, all right, yes, I hope it does happen. But if it doesn't, that's okay. There's more things that I need to do in NXT. So I feel like it's important to make sure that you don't put all your hopes out there, because if it doesn't happen, you feel really let down.
Was there anything else? Yeah. Oh, no, kind of going off that, was there anything else that you felt like coming out of the NXT run? Obviously, you went for the championship a couple of times, partaking in that great ladder match, like I said, at Stand and Deliver, former tag team champion alongside Io Sky. I mean, that feels like the ceiling right there. Obviously, there is more you could do. Were there any, I don't want to say regrets, but like, did you feel like you had unfinished business in NXT, or did you feel like it was your time to move on up?
A little bit of both, because I wanted to win the NXT Women's Championship. But also at the same time, I felt like I've done all I could do in NXT. So if I wasn't going to win it, then I felt like it was really going to be my time to just move on and really go for the bigger things.
In the few matches that you've had so far, you've been extremely impressive. I mean, obviously, anyone that followed your work in NXT knows that you're one of the best from bell to bell in the ring that WWE has right now. But now everyone else is getting to see now that you're on the Raw roster as well. When you go into your first match, or even a match like on Monday with Natalya for this qualifier for Money in the Bank, is there anything in your mind that you say to yourself, this is what I want to prove with this match to this audience that may not have seen me in NXT, and anything that you want to prove going forward?
Every time that I go out there, my mindset is I want to have the best match of the night. That's always just my thought process. And look, it doesn't happen every single time, and that's okay. But I know every single time that I go out there, I'm putting my best foot forward, and I'm going to do my absolute best there.
Is there any one match that you've had so far, including your NXT? I mean, obviously in Raw, you've had 2 matches so far. So I guess including your entire WWE run, that stand out as your favorite up to this point.
So I'm going to go back to Mandy Rose. I feel like we told a story there, and I feel like that's really important to do. That's more important a lot of times than the action inside the ring. You got to make people feel the emotions that you're trying to portray out there. So I felt like Mandy and I did a really good job of telling a story.
It wasn't long after that match that you had that character shift from good guy to bad guy, face to heel, whatever you want to call it. And I feel
Mhm.
like, at least as a fan, that was when you really started to hit your stride as far as from a character standpoint. Did you feel that same way, or did you did that feel like a turning point for you, or what were your thoughts going into that?
Definitely felt like a turning point because being the bad guy, I could just be more honest and more myself and not care what anybody thinks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being the good guy, you got to you want the crowd to like you and cheer for you. So you're trying to do this thing of being like, no, really, look at me, I'm great, cheer me. But as a heel, you don't need to care about that anymore. It's like, you're going to watch this whether you like it or not. You paid the money, and I know you want to sit here and watch me. I'm going to be
Yeah.
completely honest with you. So it's way more fun.
And we've been getting more of that side of you since you went heel last year. And the cool thing is that it's not like, I mean, obviously it's an obvious change from what you were doing before, but it's not a drastic shift where you're like have a completely different character or a completely different gimmick or something like that. Like you said, you're just being honest. Do you feel like who you are right now that we see on WWE TV is closer to who you are in reality, or just an extension of yourself up to like a 12? Or where does the current Zoey Stark on TV fit into who you are in real life?
I feel like it's an extension of myself. I'm not as mean as I am on TV,
Okay.
but I am honest in person. I don't like to sugarcoat things. So I'm going to be straightforward with you.
Was there a promo that you've had so far? Because I feel like a lot of the promos that you've had since you've gone heel have really stood out, specifically that first one. And right after the Nikita Lyons turn, and then especially recently on Raw, we've seen more of your personality in the vignettes and video packages that have been really well done. Going into that sort of stuff, was there any one that you felt most proud of? And we talked about your matches, but as far as the mic work, was that something that you were used to going into the promo side of things from prior to your time in WWE?
I personally feel like I've always had a harder time with promos,
Mm-hmm.
and I always get good feedback from them to where they say that it's really good, but I'm so hard on myself to where every time I do a promo, I'm saying, oh, I could have really done this better, do that better. I really pick things apart, and it's not always the healthiest thing to do, but it does make me better for the next promo. So to say if there's a favorite promo of mine so far, I don't think so, but I know the next promo I do will be much better than the last.
That's a good way to look at it. I mean, you talk about getting feedback and stuff like that. Was there any one pivotal person? I mean, obviously there's a whole slew of legends that work at the PC. Was there any one person that was pivotal to your development in WWE, whether it be in ring, character stuff, promo, whatever it might be?
So I'm going to give out two names here. Ryan Katz, he's our promo teacher at the Performance Center. He really helped me find myself and being more comfortable with who I am on TV and on the mic. So he has a wealth of knowledge, and he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing to pick his brain. The other guy would be Coach Bloom, Matt Bloom. Every time I go with him for critiques, he gives me different ideas, and he really helps me be unique from everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially, it seems like the feedback that you've gotten from them that you've applied to the promos, like you said, making each one better than the last. I feel like that's been apparent for a lot of people watching your work since your NXT days just a couple of months ago to where you are now. With the vignettes and stuff that we saw when you first came up from Raw, I feel like of all the call-ups, and not just lately, but I feel like in the last year or so, and again, it's only been 6 weeks. I know it's been extremely early in your run, but it feels
Yeah.
like everything has been done right in your run so far, from winning your matches, looking impressive in your matches, vignettes, video packages. The pairing with Trish, I feel like was a win-win for everyone involved, the fans, yourself, Trish as well. As far as the video package and stuff like that go, do you have any input in that sort of stuff as far as what you can talk about, or just showing more of your personality and background and stuff like that? Or are you just kind of going out there and trying to show the best that you can?
As far as that package goes, I was working with the guys, and they were allowing me to be just me. They weren't trying to tell me how to act or what to do. They were allowing me to just, hey, speak from the heart and say what you want to say. So that everything that I said on that was a lot me, where I was able to just put out that emotion.
Mm-hmm.
But you do still get, you get the bullet points and stuff of, hey, this is what we want you to talk about, and that's exactly what they did. And then you just kind of fill in some of the different parts.
And there's been a lot of call-ups, I feel like I said, in the last year where, maybe not just in the last year, but really just ever, where it's kind of, like I said, a drastic difference from what we get in NXT. Sometimes, even if it works there, it's always different on the main roster. That hasn't been the case with you so far. Again, we're still very early on, but the Zoey Stark that we have on Raw right now is the same Zoey Stark from NXT. Was that kind of something, maybe not that you were, I don't want to say worried about, but like going into Raw, you were hoping, all right, I hope I get to just continue doing what I'm already doing in NXT, or are you kind of hoping to do something different?
No, I mean, I was definitely hoping that I could still just be me. Like, I was a little worried that they would have me do something that I don't feel comfortable. Not that I'm uncomfortable with
Yeah.
it, but it just doesn't feel like me. You know, the fans could see that when you're putting on an act where you just feel uncomfortable with what's going on. So I wanted to stay true to myself and who I am. But I definitely, the being able to work with Trish, like I wasn't expecting that. So that's the other side of it, to where I get to learn from Trish now and just take lead from her.
That's pretty crazy. Like you said, just one phone call or text away from getting advice from literally one of the greatest of all time. I know it's said on TV every single week, but like legitimately, that's a pretty crazy spot to be in. Just talking about that again, going to the Raw roster, not having to really change much about yourself, which is great. The music. I was there at Raw in Hartford on Monday. The music is great. You've had it since your NXT days. They haven't changed it, which is great. We hear a lot of new theme songs all the time. What are your thoughts on your theme song? I feel like it's one of the better songs in WWE right now. I feel like it fits you to a T as well.
It does, because that's exactly the kind of music that I listen to. When I first started in NXT, Road Dogg kind of talked to me asking what kind of music I like. So I sent him a song by Ivory Bell. And they kind of listened to that and they knew exactly where I was going with, and they made that. And I hope they never change it, because I'm very happy with that song. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's a really good song. I feel like it sets the tone for your matches every time you go out there. And it's cool too. I feel like Bronson Reed's in a similar spot where people may not know, everyone may not know who you are right now as far as the main roster audience, but they do know who you are by the time your match is over, especially after you hit that amazing finisher. I mean, talk about the genesis of that. Was that something you were doing prior to WWE? Because it's, again, we talk about the theme song, kind of the same thing. One of the more impressive things in WWE right now is your finisher.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so when I was on the indie circuit, I wanted something unique and different. I didn't want to steal another, steal is the wrong word, but borrow another WWE superstar's finish or anything. I wanted something that was me.
Mm-hmm.
So one day in Las Vegas, where I was training at FSW, I had a friend and we were just kind of playing around with moves, trying to think of different things. And he happened to backflip and we just started playing around with it and added in the knee. And there you go. The Z360 was created. So Matt Vandergriff is his name. So I'm going to give him a shout out. He helped me out with that. So thank you.
Very nice. I mean, when you do it during your WWE try, maybe not during your tryout, but like when you first signed with the company and they see you do it, I mean, I assume they already kind of knew what your finish was at that point. Is that something that you think that they say like, all right, you're keeping that? Like, I mean, especially since it's so different than everything else we have in WWE right now, and even in wrestling, I'm not sure if anyone's doing a variation of that. Was that something that you were hopeful that you get to stick with when you come to WWE?
Oh yeah, I felt pretty good that they would let me keep it, because it was so different and unique enough to where it's like, okay, you can't really change that.
Yeah.
So I was very happy they let me keep that one.
Have there been any instances so far in the last couple of years you've been in WWE, maybe even prior to WWE as well, where because it's such like a precise move, and I could be wrong, but it feels like watching it has to be very precisely executed to make sure that who you're hitting it on, you don't completely mess up. I mean, obviously it hurts, but like, have there been any like very close calls? I mean, Becky obviously got a busted nose at that Night of Champions. Any close calls so far?
No, Becky's the only one.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good first impression.
Right. Yeah. I needed to make a statement. And I made a damn good statement with that. They show that my move is lethal.
Well, we talk about that heading in Money in the Bank as we wind down here with this matchup. What are you looking to? I mean, we talked earlier about what you want to prove now that you're in WWE. Going for that briefcase. Again, you're a fresh face in the matchup. We have Becky Lynch, someone obviously who wants to get their hands on you as well. Zelina Vega's in there, more names to be announced. What are you looking? Do you feel like this match suits you? I mean, we've seen you in a ladder match before for the NXT Tag Team titles, the match where you lost the belts a couple of years ago. Is this match very Zoey Stark-ish, like right up your alley?
Very much so. Yeah, I do some crazy things in a ladder match, and the WWE Universe will see that in London.
Are the goals pretty obvious as far as winning the match, holding on to it, staying aligned with Trish? I mean, I guess it speaks for itself, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course I want to win that match. Who doesn't? I'm going to be the one that will grab that briefcase, and then I'll go talk to Trish and we'll figure out a game plan on what's next.
Hey, maybe you guys can cash it in for the tag team titles. I'm not sure if that's been done yet.
Maybe it hasn't, but maybe we will. You'll have to tune in and find out.
And we'll see a lot of different directions we can go, and looking forward to that Money in the Bank. Zoey, you're in there. Congratulations. Congrats on the call up and all the success you've had so far on the WWE roster. I look forward to the rest of the things. So much for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.